Today's topic, we will be getting into access modifiers in Java in detail for interview perspective. But before that, let me conclude packages concept we were discussing last time. Meantime, please remind your friends to join. Okay. Possibly make a quick call if they are missing, because if they miss these modifiers, then the remaining concepts very hard to understand. And as we started with a very important discussion like encapsulation plus packages plus modifiers, they are very, very important for cracking any interviews or even writing projects and codes in interviews. It's very important. Okay. We'll continue with types of packages we started last time. Okay. I told you there are two types of packages, which is called predefined packages and user-defined packages. So last class, we just talked about the definition for the packages. And then we started with types of packages concepts. And in types of packages, we have seen like what is built-in packages and user-defined packages. So we will be discussing all built-in packages moving forward in detail. But we just introduced like what exactly built-in packages, like what is lang package, what classes contains inside the lang package, what is util package, what classes contains in util package, what is IO package, what classes contains in IO packages. So basically, a package is a group of classes and interfaces. And inside the classes, you will have fields, constructors, methods, blocks. All this will be a part of the classes. So if you wanted to make use of any method or any field, then you must import that package for using it. So we had some questions onto that so that we can understand how to import the packages and what could be the order, what could be the very first statement in your program. So this is important for writing your big codes or industry level programs, and as well as for answering your interview questions. Okay. So before I go for user defined packages, okay, I would like to see if anybody having any doubt from the previous session, from types of packages and constructors. I would like to make it clear. Anybody missed a session also can please tell me. I can give a quick overview of any topic you want. So, but still few responded, expecting from others as well. A quick response, just typing Y so that we can start with the user-defined packages. Okay. Now, we'll see what is user-defined packages. So, like developers can create their own packages. Like developers like you can create their own packages to group the related classes. Okay, you want to, let's say you're making a project on our college, then you can actually group all the relevant classes. So especially this concept, we are stepping into, that's why I'm calling it the small assignments as projects, because that will make your mindset, because this is how actually you make real-time applications. Okay. Slowly we will be getting into the folder structure, and we will also introduce some IDEs, which is basically very popular in industries, and how they make projects with multiple files. Maintaining the files is very, very important. Okay, so that way, this could be your first step towards that industry level coding or project development. So that's why I told like it's one of the very important session. And from here, like whenever you're making programs, so make sure you follow the same folder structure and making packages and everything. Even you're writing regular programs, make sure you make a habit of writing codes using packages and all that. And that's why I told you it's as per the JNT, it's a unit 2, but covering this later will doesn't make sense. So that's why we will be discussing this along with encapsulation and before access modifier. That's how it should be. So we will start with the user defined packages now. So as I told, like developers can create their own packages to group related classes. So you can relate and you can group all your classes, interfaces, and sub packages, and you can create your own package. Creating a package is very simple in Java. Okay, what you need to do is you simply need to add this package statement in your first line. Okay, the moment you add this package statement in your first line of your program, then you're requesting your compiler that after compiling whatever the dot class files you get, please keep those dot class files in this particular package. Okay. So suppose you have com.a, so all age related classes can be put it in this ACE. And ACE can further have sub packages like util, so that you can have all utility related classes. It can have library, all library related classes. It can have timetable, all timetable related classes can be grouped together. So this is how you can basically organize your codes so that, but need to be careful while compiling and all, because you need to know the complete path where your file classes and interfaces are available, right? And that's how real-time coding will be. So making packages is very simple in Java. You just need to add the package statement like com.as. Okay, com.as. Like for our program, okay, for our program, if I wanted to keep this bank class, okay, whatever the bank class I created, I wanted to keep this bank class in package. Then what I can do is I can simply add the package name here. Okay, I can simply add the package name. Let's say package com dot, okay, com dot ace dot, let's say we have a bank name called IOB. Okay, so this could be a package name now. Or I can give package name generally should be in small. So I'll give IOB. So it means in a common directory, we have a subdirectory called AS. In that we have, let's say AS may have multiple banks. So I'm just making a bank called IOB, okay, Indian Overseas Bank, so that this bank class can be stored in this particular package. Okay. So if you don't want to go to that level for now, okay, let it be. So this is how you can add a package statement. This is how you can add a package statement in your program. So now when you compile this program, the compiler first sees the package statement. The compiler first sees the package statement. The moment it sees the package statement, it understands that it has to create a directory in this order, and he has to keep this dot class file in that particular directory. But you this time when you add packages, you will not be compiling as regular, because you know the way you compile your program and the way you write your program is like this. Whenever you have to compile your program, you know you will be simply typing, you're invoking a Java compiler, okay, Java C, and you're giving a file name. Let's say the file name is bank.java. So you will be giving a file name here, right? Okay, this is your regular compile. So let me just write here. So this is calling or invoking the compiler, invoking Java compiler, invoking the Java compiler. And this is your file name. Okay, this is your file name. So many people asked me like, is file name and class name can be different? I told yes, you can have file name and class name different. Make sure like while compiling, you give a file name, and while executing, you can give a class name. So this is for compilation. Okay. Now, if you have to execute your program, you know, you will be invoking the Java interpreter, which is JVM. And now you will be giving a dot class file. Okay, and you know, like the dot class file will be created based on the class name, not on based on file name. So if it is different, then dot class file name will be same as the class name. And you don't have to give an extension because it understands like JVM will always runs your bytecode file. So basically you can now treat this as a class name, or it's a class name. Okay, or it's a bytecode file, bytecode file, or I can say it's a dot class file. Okay, because dot class file is nothing but your bytecode, which is created with a class name. So this is not file name. So that's why if your file name is different and class name is different, make sure while compiling, you give a file name, and while executing, you give a class name. Okay. And this is your calling JVM. This is calling JVM to execute. You know, like JVM takes the bytecode and executes your bytecode and converts into native instruction set, which executes by your processor and then gets you the output. So these are the two steps for compiling your program and executing your program from the command prompt. Okay. I wanted to check because before we see that how to compile the program with the packages and how to execute the program with packages, because here I need to add some additional information for compiling and executing. Okay, so remember, when you add the packages, these statements are going to change. So I'm going to show you how to compile the files with packages and how to execute the file with packages. But before that, you need to have a clear understanding on this concept, how we compile your regular programs uh, is important. So please let me know if you have any question on these two lines. Uh, Please type Y if it is clear. Otherwise, I would be prefer to have questions so that it will always be a good thing to conclude any topic. I know sometimes I repeat the things, but it's important because any one of us having a doubt, I feel like it gets clear for them. So I sometimes repeat basic concepts as well again and again, and please don't hesitate to ask question. Don't think that it's very basic. Uh, I should not ask, but please, I prefer like you please keep your put your questions, even if it is very fundamental, very basic. If it is relevant to the topic, I'll discuss at the same time, or else even we can discuss at the end of the session before we come. Okay. So please, please put your questions here. If you have any questions on these two lines, please let me know how to compile your Java program and how to execute your Java program on the command. Otherwise, like if it is everything is okay, please type Y. Now, let's see an example on user-defined packages, and we'll see how we compile and how we execute. Let's say I wanted to make my own program, and let's see how we compile that particular program. So what I'm doing is I'm making a package called com.ace.utils, same like the way I'm making for bank package like com.ace.iob. Okay. So I will compile this program, but let's see this for reference. So now I created a package, and like the very first line in your program will be the package statement. So we will be having package com.ace.utils. So this is the first one. Then I wanted to keep the class inside this package. So I will create my regular class like this, public class calculator. And then we can have a method called add, which is taking two arguments for adding and simply returning the answer. So this is a very basic calculator program uh, where I wanted to keep this calculator program in this particular package. So you can see there will be a main package created called com, then it creates a package called ace, and then it creates a package called utils. So this way, in this util, it will create this dot class file, okay, called calculator, which has this add method. Now remember, whenever you wanted to access the calculator, now the rules will get changed. Okay, you need to make sure related to access modifiers, and that's what the major discussion for today. And then you also need to see that whether the class is visible or not. Okay, and the second thing is if it is visible, then you must import it using these packages, and then only you can use it. Now the protection level is getting added because we are talking about encapsulation, and encapsulation is all about data security and data hiding. So this is how packages, access modifiers, and all will add the security to your program, and it will add the protection to your program, that who can access, who cannot access, everything you can control with the help of packages and access modifiers, so that you can understand the importance of these concepts, right? How important these concepts. Okay, so when I compile this code, what happens here is it will create a dot class file. Now, if you look at a folder structure, it looks like this. Okay, let me show you the directory structure, how it will look like. So you can see here that directory structure will be like this. Let's say you have a main folder called project, where you're actually keeping all your Java files. Okay. And then the dot class file or even source file can be saved, but basically a dot class file will be created. Inside this, there is a folder called com. Okay. And inside that folder, we will have a folder called AS. And inside this AS, we'll have a utils. Okay. Utils. So this is not util like your predefined package. It's our own package name. You can give any name. So make sure like packages will have the small letters basically. So this is how the folder structure will be. And then calculator.java and calculator.class can be keep inside. You can keep calculator.java manually, but if you compile with a special command, then calculator.class will be automatically created inside this directory structure. Inside this directory structure. Okay. So this is how your directory structure should look like after compiling your program when you added the package statement in the beginning. When you added the package statement in the beginning, this is how the directory structure should. Next, let's see how we compile. Now, if you have to compile the program, there are additional commands got added. Be careful. If you have a laptop with you, I recommend like you can practice these programs along with me, because slowly we will be moving towards some advanced coding. So you can always practice the programs along with me. If you are listening from your mobile, it's okay. Like you can make a note of all these things and make sure like after the class or any other time, you can please make sure you execute, because unless and until you don't execute yourself, what kind of errors you may get, because very common mistakes people may do while compiling, while executing, while writing the code. Anyhow, I'm doing from my side, but still I have observed that when you do, you may come up with mistakes. And this is the most, what I can say, a nightmare for the Java programmers, because Java compiler is very strict, and fixing up the Java errors are very difficult. I have seen, especially in Java lab comparatively with C, other labs and all, fixing up the errors in Java, unless and until we don't have good practice, is always challenging. Okay. So that's why I have seen like even like JNTU had made your Java lab more complex by adding a lot of interesting basically codes. Mostly your codes are related to graphical user interface. Like I told, first program itself is making a nice calculator, which is around 200 lines of code. You can imagine how interesting it will be, right? But for going to that level, you need to have all these basic understanding. So I that's why I'm strongly recommending, like please compile and execute along with me. Even if you want time for it, you please let me know. I can wait for you unless you compile and execute the program. Okay. But anyhow, I am going very slow so that you can also code along with. So this is the additional command. Okay. So what additional you see here, guys? I wanted to see from your side. And if you know, can you please tell me what is this additional command will do? There's hyphen D and dot. What this additional command will tell the Java compiler about your compiling the program. Because earlier I told you when I compile my bank program, I simply write Java C, which is I'm calling the Java compiler, and then I will write the file name. Then I'll write the file name. But here, okay, I just added this additional command, which is hyphen D and dot. So anybody here can just tell us your guess, not important. You can even privately or message me. Okay. But I wanted to see like what is your understanding on this additional command. You can have a guess, no problem. Here hyphen D option tells the Java compiler to create a separate directory based on the package statement I have used. Okay. It will ask to create a separate directory. And I hope you are making some running notes. It will always help you. Anyhow, at the end of the session, once I complete these concepts, I will share the unit 1 content. Okay. As many people requested last time. Today, along with the second assignment, I will share the notes as well. Okay. But I strongly recommend like make a running notes and also make sure you read from textbooks. Will give you more insight. But notes has been made in such a way to make things easy. So notes can be the last preference to make things easy, or even if you wanted to like start with reading notes, it's good. But don't rely only on that. You have to enhance your knowledge. Okay. And I will also make sure like I'll be keep updating my notes every time so that it will cover both like present Java, present JNTU syllabus as well as some advanced. So coming back to this, I told you like the hyphen D option tells the Java compiler to create a separate directory and place the dot class file in that particular directory. So as Monica, Shruti said, that's correct. That -d here tells you that create a directory now. So as you have seen in the last slide, or you can see here that what it will do, it will create a directory called com, main directory. Inside that it will create an ACE, and inside that it will create an IOB. Now you can see if I just go to present directory, if I go to present directory here, we are in the practice folder where we are practicing. Until now, we have created a bank class and test class, right? Till now, we have created a bank class and test class. And these are dot class files. You can see there are dot class file, bank and test. Now, for your reference, what I will do is I will remove that dot class file. Let's see which are the dot class files, and we will remove it. So okay, this is Java file. So I will remove this dot class file. Okay. And this is dot class file. I will remove the dot class file. Now you have only two files now. One is bank.java. It's a Java file. And test.java. It's a Java file. So you can see here we are in the folder called Java 2025. Inside that we have ACE online and we have practice folder. Right. Inside that folder, we have two files, bank and test. Till now, you see there is no folder or directory like com, AS, and IOB. Now what I want is this time, because previously I was compiling directly, I also told you, whenever you don't make packages, then your current directory will treat as a default package. The current directory will treat as a default package. Now, as I added the package statement, and now if I tell my compiler that how to compile the program, now what it will do is, now you will see physically here that a folder gets created, com, inside that it creates an ACE folder, inside that it will create an IOB folder and keep all those classes inside. So now in ACE, you can have different packages, IOB, you can have library package, which contain library related classes. You can have exam package, which contain exam related classes. This is how you organize, right? This is how you organize different classes. Otherwise, all classes mixed up and it's very difficult for you to find out and to work with those classes. So in ACE, you may have multiple things. You may have bank related classes, you may have library related classes, you may have exam related classes, okay, transport related classes. So all can be grouped together. So this is what packages are all about, like how you organize the programs. Now I wanted to compile this. I wanted to compile this, but the dot tells that create this directory inside the current package. What is my current package? Practice. So I am telling that please create me inside the current. This can also be changed. Instead of dot, you can give the path here where you wanted to create that dot class. You need to set the class path for that. Moving forward, I will show you. But dot here is nothing but because it's easy, right? Wherever I'm working right now, wherever I'm compiling, you see while compiling my program, I'm into this location. I'm into study rooms, then Java 2025, ACE online and practice. So from here, I'm compiling and executing my program. So that's why, okay, I'm telling that create me that folder inside the same package. If you want to mention the different path, you can, instead of dot, you can actually add your path. So here dot after -d indicates that the package should be created in the current directory. Okay, the package should be created in the current directory. So where is my current directory? This is my current directory, and I wanted to create this package inside this current directory. Now, a quick confirmation that is this explanation clear for all? What is -d and what is dot stands for? And make sure there must be a space. I have observed when you compile the first program, you basically don't give space and you end up with error. So make sure there must be a space because these are different commands. So every command must have a space to understand by your compiler, okay? So make sure you give a space between -d and dot and then file name along with the compiler calling. So only Navya confirms that this slide is clear. One example and explain. Yeah, I'm going to do that, Pranay. I'm going to compile my bank class and show you practically how this is happening. But I wanted to make sure like you all clear how to compile a program which contains packages. Okay, because till now we were not having packages, so we are compiling in a regular way. Now a couple of commands has been added. So I want everybody's attention, and everybody should be clear like what is this commands is all about. Monica confirms yes. Swastik confirms yes. What about others? Is this slide clear for you all? Okay, let us go and compile the program and see what is happening. Okay, now this is the current situation. We don't have dot class file. We want dot class file in that particular file. Now what I will do is I will go and compile my uh, bank class now. Okay, let's see what will happen when I compile the bank class. Now, before that, please look at the bank class, what I added. So earlier we were having a class called bank, okay, where we have these things like fields, a constructor, okay, for initializing those fields, and methods like print, balance, deposit, and withdraw. So this is my bank class looks like. And now we added this package state. Now we added this package state. Okay. Now, once I add the package statement, I cannot simply compile like regular. If I compile like regular, it will create me the .class file in the current directory. It will ignore the package. Now I need to compile like this. I need to say Java C for calling the compiler, -D to tell them create me a directory. Make sure you give a space. Otherwise, it will not work. Okay. It will take to both commands in a wrong way. You give a space and keep dot to tell them create me in the current directory. And then name of the file is bank.java. Okay, bank.java. So Pranay, you please see here that this is how we actually compile your code, which includes packages. So these two additional commands we added, dot -D to tell that create a directory, and dot to tell that create a directory inside the current package, current folder. Now the moment I compile, you see the magic here. Okay, first it checks for the error. If there is no error in your program, it compiles, and now you can go back to your folder. You can see the magic here that com package folder got created. You see earlier there were no com folder. Okay, now you see dot class files has not created directly here. It's created inside this folder. Now com folder got created automatically. Inside that com folder, you have this ACE folder. Okay, you have this ACE folder. And then inside this ACE folder, then you have IOB. Okay, you have this IOB. And then in IOB, you got this dot class file name. Okay, you see you got a dot class file name. So if you look at this, it's a dot class file. Now you see inside the package, we got com folder, we got ACE folder, and we got IOB folder. And now you can have multiple folders here, like you can have library, you can have sports, you can have transport. Different packages can be created where you can keep all relevant classes. Clear for all? How the package statement helping you to create this directory structure automatically by just adding this command -D dot bank. Yes, it's compulsory to give -D and dot here. Okay, because this will tell you that you have to create a directory. So whenever you have a package, this command has to be added compulsory. And make sure you give a space between every command. Okay, Java C, there must be a space, then -D, there must be a space, then dot, okay, then there must be a space, then bang dot. Now, can someone help me how we execute the program now? Because earlier I was executing my program by simply calling the JVM, okay, and giving the dot class file. But now the dot class file is not present in the current directory. It is present in some other location, because currently I am compiling from practice, and you see in practice folder, I don't have dot class file. So can somebody tell me how to execute that dot class file? can somebody tell me how to execute that dot class file? If you're responding, I'm not getting the text. Sometimes it delays, but please make sure so my question to everyone here is how you execute now. I hope the compilation concept is clear. I'm going very, very slow so that you can understand this concept because as it is first program using packages, I want like everyone to have a clarity. And my question was how we execute now. Because you all see that dot class file got created inside this packages com.as.iob. Inside that packages, it created the dot class file. Now my question to everyone that how we execute. You can guess. If you are very sure, you can put your message to everyone. If you're not sure, please, you can directly message me as well. Because first thing, it's my understanding is important, how you're following. And second thing, you can also help everyone, like how you actually execute your program. Nice, but little more to be added, Monica. Let's see with others as well. So my question was how to execute now. Can I execute like this? Can I say Java bank now? How many of you think yes? I can simply write Java bank. This is how we used to execute earlier, right? Simply I used to call the JVM, okay, and then I give the dot class file name. Now, how many of you think it will work now? Just type Y or N, whether it works or not. Okay, Monica thinks no. Navya thinks no. Okay, why you think no, guys? Shravani thinks no. Why you think that it will not execute? It will not work? What error you may be getting? Why you think like this will not execute? Because dot class file is not in practice. Thank you, Monica. Because class is in another package. Thank you, Anirudh. So great. So this will give you error like file not found. Correct? Okay, you run this code and see what error you will get. It says it's a very common error I have seen people getting in labs, especially when you're working with the wrong directories. So understanding the directory structure is very, very important. Okay, even in our lab, I have noticed many people initially were getting this error. Later they understood and they have fixed this error. But initially, I've observed that many of us getting this error, and it's a very common error you may get in lab, that class not find. Whenever you get this could not find or load main class, okay, and you get this exception called class not found exception, it means you are not working properly with the directory, especially when you're working with the package. Okay, so that's why before we go for industry level coding, it's very important to understand. Okay, now I hope everybody is clear like why we are getting this error. Everybody is clear why we are getting this error. Now I wanted to see like how we can fix this error. Then how we execute, because now I cannot execute just like this. So how we execute your program now. So this is how we compile, right? Now how to execute your package program. So if you have a package statement, then how you execute your package program. I know it's morning and basically I keep a lot of questions. Okay. And I hope, I don't know whether like all joined having breakfast. Even I don't like, it's okay if you can have breakfast while listening, but make sure like you follow. But make sure like you have uh, like activeness so that please can answer the questions, because for online sessions now this is most important, like to check whether you're following or not, because even in class some of you know the faculty cannot proceed unless because at least there I can see your faces and I can see whether you're following or not. But now in online sessions, the most typical thing is your responses will help me that how you're following, so that accordingly I can modulate the concepts. Okay, so it generally will be so dynamic. I cannot simply keep going with the slides and everything, right? So I have to change the presentation, have to change my explanation, add some more examples if I feel like where we are getting stuck. So in that case, I always recommend your responses are very important for me. Even if it is simple, I mean short, it's okay. Now my question was, can anybody guess how we execute the package program? Okay. Now, let me show you how we execute the package code. So whenever a Java class is a part of the package, whenever the Java class is a part of the package, you must use its fully qualified name, which is nothing but package name plus a class name to run it. Okay, you have to give a fully qualified name. So what is fully qualified name? Fully qualified name is nothing but the package name plus the class. So with this statement, now can you tell me how to execute your program now? So if I have to execute, anyhow, sorry, bank I cannot execute because it does not have a main method. So even I cannot execute this bank. But if I have to execute, then how to execute? Can someone help me? I will type Java, but let us see. Java, then what is a main package, guys? What is a main package? Com, okay. What is the sub package? What is the sub package in that? ACE, right? You can see this complete location. ACE, sorry, ACE inside that ACE and then IO for this. Okay. So now I will ACE dot, okay, dot IOB. And then what is the class name we have? What is a class name we have? Back with B cap. Okay. Okay. So this is called fully qualified name. And this is how you import packages as well, right? Like java.util.scanner, java.io.files, java.lang.systems. So this is how you import. So this is called basically fully qualified names. Okay. So you must give this fully qualified name. Anyhow, I cannot execute this bank class because I don't have a main method. So I will be getting an error like it does not have a main method, but this is how you actually execute. This is how you actually execute. Let's see that error so that you can understand that it's working now, because at least it's not telling class not found. It's working and it's telling that main method is not. Okay, so it's a non-executable class. Clear for everyone? How we compile and execute the programs, including the packages? Okay, great. Okay, now what I wanted to do is I wanted to go to test class now, where I'm testing this program, right? So I wanted to keep this in a different package. So I wanted to add a package statement as well. So let's say I will add a package statement called com.is dot. Here I wanted to keep one package called testing. So all classes where I'm testing for any class, I will keep inside this testing. Okay, I will keep this inside this testing package. So now I will add this statement called package com.ace.testing. So I need everybody's attention now, because now we are keeping two different programs. Now if I can draw the directory structure, it will be like this. So there will be a main folder called practice. Okay. Inside that we have a package called com. Okay. And inside that we will be having a package called AS. And now in AS, I will have two packages now. Inside this AS, I will have two packages. What is the first package, which is IOB for bank, and this will have bank.class file, bank.class file, and I will have one more called testing. This will have test.class file. Okay, test.class file. Now we are keeping inside this form, inside is, I wanted to have this two folders, IOB, which contains the bank.class, and testing, which contains this test.class file. Now, with all your whatever we have understood till now, can you please help me how to compile this program now? How to compile this program? If I have to compile this test class now, which is making the bank object and testing whether it deposits or print balance, how to compile your program now? How to compile? Nice. No, file name is not testing, right? File name is not testing. You just give the file name. What is a file name? Test.java. Okay. So remember, while compiling, we will give Java C, then -d to tell them create a directory, dot to tell them create inside the current directory, and file name is test.java with capital T, right? Test.java. So when I compile this, will it get compiled or will I get errors? Will it get compiled or will I get errors? Okay, it will get compiled. Okay, let's see with others as well. So some of you thinks it will get compiled. Let's see with others. What do you think, guys? Look at the code and tell me, will it get compiled? Is anything wrong in our code? It gets compiled. Okay, but don't you think like I'm making an object of the bank class, it's from other packages. Don't you think I have to import that packages and everything before using this? Correct. So let's see whether it will get compiled or whether it will give errors or not. Okay. So you see what kind of errors you get so that you can understand. So now when I press enter, first thing it's giving me an error because I forgot to add the semicolon. Okay. That was the first error because the first statement itself is wrong. Now I will compile the code and you can see here I'm getting errors now that bank cannot find. Okay. And again, the constructor cannot be invoked. So two errors I'm getting. So why I'm getting these errors now? Why I'm getting these errors? This understanding is very important. Now we are almost in the conclusion of packages concept. Now we will get into access modifier. With this example only, we will step into the access modifier concept. Bank class is another package. Very good. Other packages is not imported. Nice. So how to fix this problem, guys? What statement to be added now? Please read these errors very carefully. Huh? That's why I'm showing you practically like what is happening. And the best way of understanding Java is by understanding its errors. Okay. It's telling cannot find symbol because we have not imported. Before package or after package? Before package name? No, right? Because package should be the very first statement. All import should be after package. You cannot add before package. Because we have learned last time, the package statement should be after, any statement should be after package statement. The moment I add import, let's say com dot as dot iob dot bank, this is how you need to import. But the moment I add this import statement, I will be getting an error because import cannot be before package. Okay. Now I will go here, compile the code. This time I will be getting a different error. You see, I'll be getting a different error that class interface or enum expected. So it's telling that I'm not able to understand the structure because it's not the proper structure. That's how you get that error basically. So one thing we understood that your first statement should always be a package statement. You cannot have import or any other statement before the package statement, even not other package statement. Now I have imported the bank class. Now, do you get the class not found error now? So I have properly imported from COM, from ACE, from IOB. You please import this bank. Do you think I will get file not found error? No, I will not get file not found error. But will my program works now? How many of you think the program will work now? Just type Y. Okay. Anirudh thinks it will work. Prasanna thinks it will work. Okay. Let's see with others. Shravani thinks it will work. Everybody thinks it will work. But now let me tell you, it will still not work. Okay. That's the topic for the day. So we will try to understand why it will not work and why you will get error. Okay. Now I compile the program. I compile the program now. Okay. You see, I'm getting 3 errors this time. Bank is not public, cannot access from outside the packages. Bank is not public, cannot access from outside the packages. Bank is not public. All errors are same while importing, while making an object, while calling the constructor. What does it mean? What these errors means? Okay. Now, with this, we will be getting into modifier, access modifiers. Okay. But you need to understand why you should declare public. Okay. All are good, like we are not declared as public, but why we have to declare public, or what access modifiers allowed for these classes, and what is the current access modifier for this class, why I'm getting error. This all understanding is very, very important. Okay. So that's why you see, this is very common mistake we do. Like when we make packages and all, you may get these kind of errors if you don't have an understanding of access modifiers. Okay. If you don't have an understanding of access modifiers, you will get these errors. Now, everybody understood with these errors that bank class should be public, but why it should be public? And what is the current access modifier, guys? Anyone? What is the current access modifier for this bank class now? So how many total access modifiers we have? How many total access modifiers we have? 4. Okay. What are the access modifiers allowed for the class? Anyhow, I'm going to teach you this, but before that, I wanted to check from your side. Like, what do you think? What are the access modifiers allowed for the classes? Okay. Let's see from others. Okay. Nice. Okay. So let's go and try understanding this, but I just conclude this slide. So this is how you can actually execute your program. You have to give a fully qualified name and a couple of questions to conclude this topic so that we can go for access modifier. Quickly see this and try answering this question. Read the question carefully. And these are the options. Please tell me which option is correct. Read the question carefully. As a conclusion to packages concept, we just have a couple of questions, and you can see these kind of questions majorly asked in product-based companies. Okay, simple. I kept simple initially. Moving forward, we'll have little complex questions as well. So you are in Java directory. Okay, and this is your file structure. Now the thing is how to run the logger class. What you should type. Nice. Okay. So everybody has answered correct. So the correct answer is option B. You have to give a fully qualified name, right? com.fb.utils.logger. Okay. So this is how you need to run your program. Now, the next question asked in Google. Let's say we have data info package called data, and we have this main method. If you compile using Java C info.java inside d java slash data, what happens when you try run java.info? Options are read the question carefully And please answer this question as well. Okay. So most of you thinks it will print info, but we are in Java/data now. Okay. Java/data. But the class is in Java./data, but we are trying to run the class directly. We have seen this earlier, right? And this will give you a compilation error. Okay. This will give you a compilation or basically a runtime error that class not found. Okay. It will give you a runtime error called class not found because we are running the program. We are not simply compiling. So it will give a runtime error saying that class not found. Clear for all? Yeah. Pranay, basically, I shown you this, right? Suppose here, I'll show you with our example that we are having this bank class and bank class in this package, right? com.as.job. So the folder structure. Now, or even test. Okay, even test. If I say Java test and you see the test class, test is present in com.as.testing. Okay, it's present in this. Now tell me, if I run this Java test, will it work? Okay, why it will not work? Because if you look at the folder structure, inside the com, we have ACE, and inside ACE, we have IOB. Till now, testing is not created. Why? Because it did not execute it. We still have errors. Unless and until I don't fix the errors, it will not create it. So imagine we have a testing folder here. Inside that test is there. So if I simply run this, it will give me a runtime error saying that class not found. Pranay, understood? Like why we will be getting this error class not found? Because I'm while executing, you must give the fully qualified name, right? Otherwise, you're telling to find the .class file in the practice folder, which is not possible. Clear all? Understood everyone? What is wrong with this question? Now importing, you all know how to import. You can import com.as. Like this. You can import all classes by putting star, or you can also import with fully qualified name. Without importing also directly you can make an object and call the compiler constructor, but you have to use fully qualified name every time, which is not good practice, but sometimes it's possible. So these are the three ways you can access the class. If you want to make a note on this, I'll wait for 2 minutes so that we conclude this concept and go for packages concept. So, access modifier concept. At least we will initiate today and we'll go in depth in tomorrow's session. But now we will understand how to fix that error we are getting with classes. Okay. So once you're done with this, please type done so that I can go for the next topic in another 10-15 minutes. Okay. We can discuss this and then we can wind up today's session and then we'll continue with tomorrow's session. All done make sense to me, like you all understood the packages concept, right, Prasanna? Now we are confirmed. Can I expect? Okay, so let's get with today's concept: mastering access modifiers in Java for interviews. Okay. Anyhow, it's like in continuation. We're trying to conclude the previous concept. That's taking time, but no worries. We have a lot of time. At least this week, we can utilize fully and we can learn a lot of interesting concepts in depth. Okay. So we are not in a hurry. My major concern will be going into the depth of the concept so that make sure everybody understood because you're putting your time, you're putting your efforts by joining this. So now let's not go hurry burry. Okay. Now we will be stepping into access modifiers today. We will be continuing this in the next session in depth. So today, let's talk about what is access modifier basically. So access modifiers helps you to set the level of access you want for your variables, methods, as well as for the classes. So today, we may not be dealing with variables and methods. Okay, we will be dealing with classes today because You can use access modifier with classes as well. And I ask you what access modifiers allowed with classes. I got a couple of right answers, but most of us were having doubt in this, so I wanted to make it clear. It's a very important question in interviews, like what modifiers are allowed with classes. So we will see today. So basically, it will set the level of access. As the name says, access modifiers. It decides the access for your classes, for your methods, for your variables inside the package. Okay? Now, the access modifiers in Java specify access visibility, I mean, scope of the data members, methods, and the classes. So whether the classes are visible or not, whether the methods are accessible or not, whether you can access the data members or not, will be decided by the access modifiers. Will be decided by the access modifier. Now, here you see the scenario is that's why we are getting this error. If you look at this error when I actually compile with fully qualified, sorry. Now, if I compile this like this, I was getting error, bank is not public and all, right? Because the class is not accessible now. Okay, the class is not accessible. We are in the different package. We are in the different package. So if you look at here, bank class is not accessible in the other package. Even though you're importing, it will not be available because of the access modifier. Okay, even though we are importing, import com.as.iob.bank. So this is one confusion we generally have, that if you wanted to access any class, simply when we import the class, it will work. No. First of all, you need to make sure whether the class is accessible or not. Okay. Or what set of access modifiers you can set for the class. Now, if you look at that, as many of you told me, there are 4 types of access modifiers in Java, which is public, okay, protected, default, and private. A lot of questions can be framed on these concepts, especially difference between public and default, protected and default. Private is quite straightforward, but a lot of questions can be asked. And this public versus default, protected versus default, public versus protected is little confusing. We need to understand. Now, can you tell me which is the most restricted access modifier here in this? Which is the most restricted access modifier? Public, protected, default, and private? Private. Private is the most restricted access modifier. What is second most restricted access modifier? What is second most restricted access modifier? Okay, here it comes confusion. Default is the second most restricted access modifier. Then protected. And which is the least restricted access modifier? Public. Okay. Now look at this diagram. It shows you from most restricted access modifier to less restricted access modifier. So private is the most restricted access modifier. Default is the second most restricted access modifier. Then protected, then public. Please remember this order. Okay. Please do remember this order. Private, default, protected, and private, public. See, in this picture, I kept private, protected, public in red color for some reason. Can you tell me like why default is in green color? Why it is looking different here? Why default is in green color? I'm not like, it's not rule, but I'm just asking why I kept default is not a keyword. Okay, but from Java 8 onwards, there is a keyword called default, Anirudh, but it's for different reason. Okay, not for this. But after Java 8, default is a keyword, but not for access modifiers. That's true. So remember, whenever we don't use any access modifier, it's by default, default. Okay, by default, default. This slide is clear for all. What are the different access modifiers we have? Public, protected, default, and private. And what is most restricted? Second most restricted, because I have seen there is a confusion regarding default and protected. But I hope with this image, everybody got clarity that which is second most restricted, and then what is the order? So Swastik and Navya confirms. Can I get confirmation from everyone? We are almost at the end, right? We have next 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, we'll make sure we conclude at least access modifiers with classes. Okay. Samantha says yes. Prasanna says yes. Thank you, Prasanna. Thank you, Samantha. Yeah, thank you. So let's talk about class modifiers. Okay. What modifiers you can use with classes. So whenever we are writing our own classes, you need to compulsory provide some information about your class to the JVM. What information you need to provide? Whether this class is accessible from anywhere or not, whether child classes can be created, whether it is possible or not, whether objects creation is possible or not. Now you see in our program, what error we are getting. We are not able to import the class. We are not able to make an object of the class. We are not able to import the constructor. Okay. The reason is class is not public. Class is not public. Meaning if class is not public, it is default. And if it is default, it cannot access in other packages. It cannot access in other packages. So let's try to understand this diagram. Okay. What is basically happening now? What is basically happening now? Let's put them into a diagram. Let's say we have this two packages right now, right? Right now we have these two packages. Okay, two packages. What are these two packages? The two packages are we have inside COM, okay, inside AS, we have a package called IOB. Okay, IOB. So this is IOB package. This is IOB. Again, inside COM, inside AS, we have a package called testing. Okay, testing package. Now we have a class here called bank. We have a class here called bank. As it is default class, you can see here I'm using default modifier. It is not allowed to access in other packages because default cannot be accessed in other packages. Default modifier cannot be accessed in other packages. That is why default is also called as package level modifier. Default is also called as package level modifier. It cannot be accessed in other packages. So that's why if you want your program, if you want your class to be available in other packages, make sure it should be public. Make sure it should be. So what is public classes? See, what is public classes? If a class declared as public, then we can access that class from anywhere within the package or outside the package. So as you've seen, that public is the least access modifier. If you want that class to be accessed by other packages, then you must make it public. If you don't want, then you can make it default. So it's your call, right? It's not like classes must always be public. You want to restrict that classes not to access from other packages, you can make it default. You can make it default. So what we will do, we'll make the class as public. You see in this example, let's say we have a package called COM1. We have a public class test. We compile this code. Then we have a package COM2, a different package. We are importing it and we are accessing it. It's allowed because class is public. If class is default, this program will not work. Now, if I want my program to work, if I have to fix these errors, what should I do now, guys? What changes I have to do? In which class I have to do changes? In test class or bank class? What changes I have to do? Where? Okay, we have to make the bank class as public. We have to make the bank class as public. Okay, so the moment I make the class as public, now this is available in other packages. Now I can import it. I can make the object. I can work. My program will work perfectly fine. Just adding the statement called public. Just adding this statement called public, making the class public, I can access in other packages. It's not like simply we can write public for any class. It's Your call whether you want to access them or not. So now I changed my bank class. So once again, I will compile the bank class. I should not directly do that. So I will compile my bank class so that I get a new dot class file. Now I compile the test class. Anyhow, there is no changes in the test class. Now I compile the test class. Okay, with proper options. Okay, so I'll say here -d dot test dot java. This also gets is not public. Now the constructor is not public. Okay, so I have to make the constructor also public because it should be available. Nice. Okay, so I must make the constructor also public. I told you constructor, if I don't keep it, it's default and it cannot be accessed them outside. So I was getting one error because constructor was not public. Now I made the constructor also public. Now I will compile the bank class. I compile my test class. It gets compiled. Now I will execute Java com dot is dot testing. Okay, before that, you see a folder gets created here called testing. Inside that, we have a test class. Now you see this scenario. Okay, we have a com folder. Inside this com folder, let's go from practice. Com folder, inside the com folder, we have ACE folder. Inside the ACE folder, we have two folders, IOB and testing. Inside IOB, we have a bank class. And inside testing, we have test class. We have test class. Okay. Now I'm trying to run this test. Okay. So I give a fully qualified name, com.ace.testing.test. Now it will execute and show you Rahul, your current balance. So now my program is perfectly working without any error. So all of you understood what is mean by public classes? No, if you're accessing that main class from others, then it should be public. But at least in this case, not required because, okay, this class I'm not using in other packages, so no need of making public. It's not always like you make public, okay? It's your call. So now let's see what if the class is default. What if the class is default? So if your class declared as default, meaning no access modifier, then that class only access within the current package. Hence, default access is known as package level access. Let's say we have test in com1, as I have not used any modifier here, where I can use this test class, guys. Where I can use this test class in com1 only. Correct, Navya. Do you all agree with Navya that I can use this in com1 only? Can I use in com2, com3 or anywhere else? No, right? So if it is com1 package and importing that class, is it allowed? Will it work now? Will it work now? It will not work. It's in same package and the class is default. It will work, right? It will work because it's in the same package and class is default. And default can access in the same package. That's why it's called package level access modifier or package private access level. Okay. So it will work and you'll get the code compiled because we are in the same package. Okay. Now my question earlier I asked you, what other access modifiers allowed for classes other than default and public? Other than default and public, what access modifiers are allowed for classes? Okay. What do you think, guys? What other access modifiers allowed for classes? No, actually, public and default are only modifiers allowed for classes. Okay, classes cannot be private and protected. Members can be private and protected, including constructors, But remember, classes cannot be private and protected. You will get error. You will get a different error this time. It will not tell you that it is not accessible. It will tell you something else. Now you see that it will very clearly tells you that when I compile this class, it tells you modifier private is not allowed here. So it's the Java compiler very clearly telling you that you cannot have private classes. Doesn't make sense, right? Making a private classes doesn't make sense because you cannot access them anywhere. So classes cannot be private. Even classes cannot be protected, guys. Even classes cannot be protected. So you cannot make it as protected. I will get the same error saying that protected is not allowed here. So compile this class and you see modifier protected is not allowed. So what are the access modifiers allowed for classes? What are the access modifiers allowed for classes? As a conclusion, only default and public. Very good. Only default and public. What about fields, constructors, and methods? What modifiers are allowed for fields, constructors, and method? All four. Okay. So anyhow, we will be talking about moving forward more in detail about access modifiers in the next session. Okay. But for now, I hope understood with packages and access modifiers, introduction to the access modifiers. Okay, great. So basically, this is object creation, right? Your question is about line number 7. How we create an object. Okay, great. So now I'll explain this with diagram. What happens when we create an object? Okay. So let's say we have a class like bank or student or employee or anything. Let me explain you. If you make, suppose the name of the class is bank. So I go here. I'll take this class name as bank. And let's say the name of the object is C1 and ends with semicolon. Okay. If anybody else here, can you help Prasanna? What is actually happening here? Am I creating the object? It could be a revision for others. Am I creating the object here? What exactly happening when I say bank C1? Okay, a reference is getting created. Thank you, Navya. Which type of reference getting created? Bank type. And where it will be created? Where it will be created? Where the reference will be created? No, in stack. Very nice. In stack, okay, in stack, a reference will be created like C1. Okay, this is what happening at this line. It is same like writing int A, right? It is same like writing int A, meaning you are telling that there is a variable called A, okay, and it will be of type integer. So similarly, I'm telling we don't call it as a variable, we call it as a reference because it is going to refer. Or you can, in broader way, you can call it as a variable because it will hold the address. Okay, it's a pointer variable like in C language. So that's the difference. So here A is a variable of type integer. Here C1 is a variable of type bank. Up to here, clear, Prasanna? What we are doing? Okay, great. Okay. Now at this line, what is happening is a reference is getting created in the stack. A reference is getting created in the stack. Now we have another memory called heap memory. Imagine this is your heap memory. Okay, this is your heap memory where your actually objects gets created. Okay, where your objects gets created. So this is your heap memory. So what happens? How we, because your question was creating object. The way we create object is we use new. Okay, it's a different color so that you can understand. So now we will use new keyword to allocate the memory and I will call the constructor. Let's say default constructor I will call. Okay, default constructor I call. So when I call the default constructor, or even you are calling a parameterized constructor here. So let's take that example of the parameterized constructor. And let's say I pass a name like Rahul. Okay, I pass the account number as 1234, and I pass the balance as 1,000. So I'm calling the parameterized constructor. So this line will construct me the object. So what this line will do, this line will create an object. This line will create an object. uh, so this line will create me an object inside the heap. Okay, having some address, let's say 2001, and then whatever the fields we have like name, account number, and balance, the constructor will create that field name, account number, and balance. Now whatever the data you are passing, that will get initialized, that will get stored in N, A, and B. Whatever the data you are passing here like Rahul and all, that gets stored in these local variables or arguments, then initialized to this fields now. Now Rahul will be initialized to name. Okay, Rahul will be initialized to name. Account number will become 1234 and balance will become 1,000. And now I will assign this to C1. So what happens now? The address will be sent to C1. Now I can say C1 will be referring to this object. So this is how object creation happens. Instead of these two lines, we are writing in one line. So you can see here, this is your object creation. Okay, creating an object by calling a new operator and the constructor, and then we are assigning it to C1. So this is what exactly happens internally, how the object creation happens and how internally memory gets allocated.